All right, students, this is your Tool ID video. I've got 50 cards down here. I do not have 50 tools, but I have 50 cards. And I'm just going to run through them and briefly discuss each. All right, number one, this is a standard socket. Most sockets are anywhere from about 1 inch to 1.5 inches tall, maybe even a little bigger, but these are your standard sockets. They come in different drive sizes. That's the square hole on the back side. There's also two main kinds. There's those that have the 12 points inside, and there's those that have the 6 points inside. If you can get a 6-point set actually fits better on your fastener. However, people like the 12-point one because then it just slides right on. You don't have to move it around. So this is called a standard socket. Number two, this is a round file. It is a round file. Now remember, all files are two-handed tools. You hold one end in by the handle and you put the palm of your hand over the other end. Okay, there was some discussion on this one. Number three, I'm going to call a break over handle. Now notice I have break in here two ways. This is the kind where it breaks. Yes, this has a ratchet head on it, and it's got an adjustable head for an angle, but just the length of the handle makes this a breakover handle. Breakover is, the term comes from having enough leverage to break the fastener loose. All right, in our wrenches. We have several wrenches here in our Eunice High School shop. This particular one dates from 1960. I believe that's a 4 there. I was coming out of diapers about that time. This is an offset, yes, for those of you that watch and you send me the comments on YouTube, I get it, this is an offset, but this is a box end wrench. Now, I do hear this called a closed end wrench quite a bit, but if you Google box end, this is what you get. Why they call a round in a box when technically that looks more like a box, I don't get it either, but that's just how it is. All right, this is a ratchet handle. The ratchet handle is that noise. That's called ratcheting. Number 6, this is a combination end wrench. It's got the box end on one end. It's got the open end on the other. And notice that most all these wrenches have like a 15-degree angle. That's so you can get in and you don't bark your knuckles when you're doing something. All right, vices, number 7. I think every shop teacher in the United States is going to back me up on this, and one of your pet peeves is when your students come in and they crank these things down. And then what it does, if you look under here, there is a mechanism. Well, what happens is when you crank this down, you destroy the mechanism inside. So when you're using this, you put whatever you want inside of it, you tighten it up to where it's snug, where it's not going to move, and then when you're done, we close the vise, and we make sure that the handle is in the up and down or vertical position. Why do we do that? Well, because if you crank this and that handle's sticking out there, somebody's going to walk by and they're going to tear their clothes, they're going to tear the vise off, something is going to happen. Number 8, this is a cold chisel. And yes, it's looking a little old. I have shined it up. It's not quite as bad as it was. I've taken the mushroomed end off the head. This is a cutting tool. Why is it called a cold chisel? More than likely, and you can Google the name if you want, but my personal belief is that this is drawn from a cold piece of steel. Remember, there's hot rolled steel and there's cold rolled steel. Hot rolled steel is steel that is fabricated from right out of the oven when it's red hot. Cold rolled steel products are fashioned when the metal is already at room temperature. And that is a cutting tool. Number 8. Number 8 can be used with, and this is number 9 question, number 8 can be used with a hammer, a mallet, or a screwdriver. If it is made of steel, it is made to be used with a hammer, because hammers are made of steel. Now, the drill bits. All drill bits are twist drill bits because they twist to do their business. This particular one, the head of this drill bit, makes this a concrete or masonry drill bit. It is made to drill into concrete. Number 11, this is an extension. It's to get from your handle to the tool on the end. It's an extension. Number 12, this device is so that you can attach a tool to a handle or an extension, and you can get into an awkward placement for a fastener. People will call this a U-joint, a universal joint. I will accept either one. Oh, and by the way, while we're talking names, these are the names that I've learned. These are the names that I understand to be correct. And just realize that depending on where you live and how you were brought up, some of these are going to be named differently. Okay, deep socket. Deep sockets are just like standard sockets, except they are longer to reach into places where fasteners live that are deep inside of a piece of equipment. Deep socket. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if it has as in this case, a leather head, and this one's been quite abused, but if it's got a leather head, a rubber head, or a wooden head, we would commonly call this a mallet. Hammers are made of steel. Mallets are made of some other softer material. Number 15 asks, can I use number 14 as a striking tool? No, this is a tapping tool. This is not made to be hitting with any great force on whatever it is that you're trying to shape. And as you can see, this poor thing has been abused through the years because it's been used as a striking tool. Number 16, this is a cross-cut saw. The easiest way to tell the difference between your saws is by the teeth. Lots of little teeth close together. It is a cross-cut saw. It is made to cut across the grain of the wood. Large teeth placed far apart makes it a rip saw. And I have a coping saw, which I will show you momentarily. And yes, people are going to criticize me. Why don't you take care of your tools? Actually, this one's in fairly decent shape. It was brand new last year. Just been marked up from use. One that I will also apologize for is this one. This is a brass hammer. Here where we live in Eunice, New Mexico, a great many people work out in the oil patch, what we call the oil patch, the oil fields. A lot of people that do wellhead maintenance or pipeline maintenance will carry brass tools. Brass tools do not create sparks, so therefore it's safer to use them in situations where you may have explosive gases. This is a brass hammer. This hammer is also not really a striking tool. As you can see, this has been used as a striking tool, and because brass is a soft metal, it's been fairly well damaged. I need to get this and recondition it. You can also tell that somebody used this that did not know what they were doing, and they've really damaged the fiberglass handle on this. Now, can a brass tool be used as a striking instrument? Yes. However, its primary function is for shaping metal or for striking and moving something around where you don't really want to leave a big mark behind, or you don't want to create a spark. This, in construction class, this is going to become your best friend. This is called a speed square. I don't even know all the functions, but I can tell you a few. This outer row, this is a protractor. These inner rows have to do with laying out common rafters, and then this one has to do with hips and valleys on roofs. You have marks here every inch or half an inch. No, that's an inch right there because it comes from this end. That's an inch, another inch. You have marks here so that you can place the hook over the edge of a board, and you can lay your pencil in there, and you can draw a straight line up and down the edge of your wood if you need to. This mark here is, for those of you that are aware of it, a 2x4 is only 3.5 inches wide. There's the end of the 2x4 if you need to mark it. Number 19. No, they're not honkin' scissors. No, they're not snippy snips. These are metal shears. These are made to cut sheet metal. This is a coping saw. This saw is made so that we can turn the blade and do what are called irregular cuts or curves. The word coping comes from the area at the top of the point of a roof, and in all the intricate, delicate artwork that used to be done up there was called coping. It's also around the edges of anything. Okay, 21. These are very nice electricians' diagonal. The diagonal is right there because that's cut at an angle. Diagonal wire cutters. Now, most people will just call these wire cutters, so I will accept either A or B. But they're technically called diagonal wire cutters, and electricians have a name for it that nowadays is considered to be a derogatory remark, and I will not say it. Okay, number 22. These are locking pliers. Now, these are commonly called by their trade name, the vice grip locking pliers. The story behind this is an immigrant farmer to the United States. His sons had left and gone off and done their life's work, and so he needed extra hands around his farm. So he invented the first pair of these in his blacksmith shop on his farm, and I forget if it's Iowa or Minnesota somewhere. Anyway, he took this to factories, Minneapolis, St. Louis. He went all over trying to find somebody to manufacture this product. He thought it was going to be a corker. And how does it work? Well, you adjust the little knob on the end. You can clamp it down, and it will hold on. And then you just take that little lever there on the bottom, and it springs loose. Every factory he took this to, his prototype that he took it to, the factory people said, "We don't understand what you're trying to do here. We don't know how to make it." So he and his sons went back, sat down, invested their own money, incorporated it, and it sold to the Irwin Company here a while back for millions and millions of dollars. You know, if you got an idea, go for it. Okay, 23, this is a flat file. Now, this is also a single direction file. This is only made to go one direction because the teeth are cut at one angle. And remember, this is a two-handed product, but when we say go in one direction, it's only meant to go one way, and then you pull up and you come back and start over. The pointy end on a file, and you never, ever use a file without a handle on it because the pointy end of the file is called the tang. You don't use this without a handle because what happens is as you're pushing on it, it's going to go into the fleshy part of your hand. You are going to say words that you should not say out loud, and you may end up having to go to the doctor and get a tetanus shot. These twisters, believe it or not, I've had people put that answer down. These are not plastic-handled pry bars. Guilty as charged. But they are indeed screwdrivers, and again, these are some fairly abused screwdrivers. As you can see, that the head of that one's been worn down a lot, and this one has been used for other things besides driving screws. And I keep these for examples to show students of what not to do. All right, this is an adjustable wrench. Now, this is one that when I first got here, 2019, this was completely frozen up and did not work. This was in a drawer hidden away. It had been left out. It was completely rusted up. After some mineral oil, WD-40, it now works like a champ. It just looks like crap because it got left out. Now, many of you old-timers will ask you for a crescent wrench. This is exactly what they're asking for, because these were built by the Crescent Tool Company down in, where is this? Jamestown, New York. But if somebody asks you for a crescent wrench, this is exactly what they're talking about. But it's an adjustable wrench. The size of number 26 is measured by what? For many of our tools, the size is measured by the handle length and not by the size of the head. Hammers will be measured by something else. Screwdrivers, this is a 6-inch screwdriver. This is an 8-inch screwdriver. This is a 15-inch crescent wrench. So, handle size. All right, this one right here. L wrench, Allen wrench, hex key wrench. The answer is actually D, all of the above. There's the letter L. Allen comes from owl, right? Allen. And then hex key because it does indeed have 6 sides. So, all of the above. Sledge, claw, or ball peen hammer. This is, of course, a claw hammer because it's got the claw on it. Again, you know, my poor tools, my students nowadays know that if you mistreat a tool, we're taking the walk over to the office and you're going to be disinvited out. All right, these are slip joint pliers because they will slide in the joint here. And you can have them smaller or larger. In my shop, the only thing that pliers are used for is to pick up hot metal in the welding shop. Yes, you can use these to tighten up fasteners and loosen fasteners, but 90% of the time, even with me, if you don't have the perfect grip, you're going to just strip off the faces of it and it's going to be a worse mess. These are needle nose cutting pliers because of the needle nose, and also they have the diagonal wire cutter fitting inside. Now, this one, the technical name is ball peen hammer. When people call for a shop hammer, this will be most people's idea of a shop hammer. This is the peening end, the ball peen part of the hammer. Peening, P-E-E-N-I-N-G, peening is actually an operation where when you're putting steel or metals together, you can fasten them and there can be stresses, or you can take it out of a forge and it can be red hot and there can be stresses, or after you've welded them there can be stresses. Peening is actually tapping the metal to release the pent up stresses and allow it to release all that energy that's in there. Nuts or bolts, these are bolts. This is an example of a carriage bolt. This is more of a stem bolt because you have a stem, but then you have the threaded end. But these are bolts. These are fasteners. This saw right here, this is a hack saw. This is a plumber's best friend. This is also what every person in jail wants so they can get out. Bolts or nuts, these are nuts. These go on the end of the bolts. No, I'm not going to make any jokes about it. That's what they're called. Number 36, cold chisel, wood chisel, or water chisel. These are wood chisels. Now, these are two versions of wood chisels. This wood chisel with the all plastic or all wooden handle is made to only be used with the palm of your hand for moving it across the wood. This wood chisel has a button on the end of it. This is meant to be tapped with a mallet or lightly with a hammer to do more detailed or deeper cutting work on a piece of wood. This file here, well, it has 3 sides. Well, let's just look here. Round file, triangle file, flat, or bastard file. No, it is a triangle file. And the flat part of the file, the flat part right here, and this is a double cutting file, because if you look, you have a set of teeth or lines going this way, and you have a set going this way. This file is meant to be used in both forward and reverse motion. The flat file down at the other end of the table down there is a single cut file, and it's only meant to be used in one direction. So the flat part of the file is called the face. This is the face of the file. This right here is a twist drill bit. This is just a regular twist drill bit that we have in our shop. Okay, twist drill bit. So that's number 39. Let's walk over here to the last table. Let's look at some more hammers. Okay, blacksmith's hammer, forging hammer, or A and B. I'm going to accept either A or B. The actual name for this is going to be a blacksmith's hammer. This was the preferred tool for blacksmiths, still is today. Some people will call this a shop hammer. Technically, though, it's a blacksmith's hammer. This hammer is made to hit on the face side, but it also has a wedge for cutting or shaping. So that's what that's there for. This is a driller's hammer. This was used by miners in mines, and these come in different sizes, but the idea here was this was what you used to drive your drill bit into the hard rock to create the mine and dig out whatever it was you were looking for. Also, these, I believe you can see it right there, this is a 2-pound hammer. Hammers are measured by the size of the head. This hammer's 2 pounds. This hammer is 4 pounds. The claw hammer over there is like 8 ounces. So, blacksmith's hammer, driller's hammer. This is called a bit brace. This handle is meant to be braced up against your body while you crank the handle around and you drill. And this is meant to be done for horizontal drilling operations. You can take the palm of your hand and put over this for vertical operations. Number 43, wood teeth, wood file, or wood rasp. Well, when the teeth are large, this is no longer a file. This tool is meant to gouge wood and remove a great amount of wood quickly. So this becomes called a wood rasp. And this, there is a technical name for this. Forgive me, it doesn't come to the top of my head right away. But because it has the bubbles inside, it is a bubble level. Can we use it for plumb? Plumb, remember, is straight up and down. Yes, we can. All right? Level, I have no idea what you're talking about. All right. Please tell me you know what this is. That is indeed a tape measure and not a chalk line. And now, after the hammers and chisels, we come to probably the oldest tool modern man knows. This is called a square. The Egyptians are credited with inventing the square while they were constructing the pyramids. The idea is that a square is to lay out a 90-degree angle, and thus, if you were to do 4 more or 3 more of these, you would have a square. All of the writing on here, these are different formulas for doing rafters and laying out angles for stairs. All kinds of things you can do with it. Okay, bars. Usually anybody calls any bar longer than about 18 inches a crowbar. I would prefer that we call this a pry bar. Now, is there such a thing as a ripping bar? Absolutely. This may even be, for many people, considered to be a ripping or a crowbar. But it's a pry bar. This is meant to get in between things and pry them apart. It does have a steel button on the end, so it is made to be struck with some type of a striking tool like a hammer. Almost done, number 48. String thing, chalk line, and I misspelled chalk. It does not have a U in it. Yes, I know. I'm trying to be proper English, I guess, or something. I don't know where they put U's in everything, but that's British English. Or it's a straight marker. This is a chalk line, and the chalk line works by pulling the string out, snapping it on the board, laying out your line, and allowing you to cut it. This is chalk refill dust right here. And finally, what are these? Are they goggles, shades, or safety glasses? These, courtesy of the Herrera Oilfield Services Company, are safety glasses. Anytime you're on my shop floor where machinery is running or we are working, you should have safety glasses in front of your eyes. I say should. I can make it mandatory and say must. And as most shop teachers know, the never-ending struggle is to get your kids to wear their safety glasses because they believe they'll never get hurt. And guys, we can replace your fingers. I can give you a new hand so that you can grip things, okay? I can give you a new arm. I can put on artificial legs. But right now, we do not have the technology to give you an eye that will see the way your eyes see. And then finally, number 50. It is okay to work in the shop without wearing eye protection. True or false? You better put false. All right, that is the 50 cards that I have out here for my 8th grade class, for my high school construction classes. You will be tested on this. These are the exact same things you're going to see in the exact same order. There is no reason for anybody to fail this test. For anybody else that has been viewing my tool ID, thanks for watching. Appreciate you checking in.